What was it like not to have Hope breathing down your neck on Sunday? He says, laughing. Was it different not having the gaffer there on the touchline?
Yeah, of course, it was actually a very weird experience, to be honest. It was almost like, that transition of when you get a new manager in. But yeah, it was very different. But of course, we're professionals. It's something that can happen. Hope could be unwell one Sunday. So as players, we're all well organised. We're all, we all still got the right information and things like that. So we were very well prepared. But yeah, like you say, it was very, very odd not having the staff there on the day.
She said she understood perhaps that without it being an excuse, the week affected the players. Surely it was going to, wasn't it? Did you feel it did?
Honestly, on a personal level, I don't feel like it affected me, but I guess that's because we knew we had a job to do. It wasn't as if we could use that as an excuse. And so for us, we had all the support we needed. We had all the fitness stuff we needed to go and do ourselves. We had all the tactical information that we needed. So I don't think we would or can use it as an excuse. Like you say, we were very well prepared, but it could well have affected some people without realizing, maybe.
For you, it was a start. Fewer starts this season as Hope has strengthened the squad at times with internationals, Mayer playing right back at times as well. How have you found that from a personal note? Years at the club, the longest serving player, and you're having to sort of take your line in the queue a little bit more this season.
Yeah, of course, it's always difficult. We play football because we want to play football. It's what we love doing, and you train all week to play at the weekend, don't you? But we're in an elite environment now, and it's going to happen that there's only 11 players that can play on the Sunday, and it's a 20-25 man squad. So you sign up knowing as a player that is what can happen. And obviously it's tough, and I'm not going to lie and say it's not mentally tough, because it is very mentally tough. But it's a team sport, and we turn up week in, week out, because we're like I say, we're a 20-25 man squad, and that we work for each other.
Was the result a little bit of a reality check, perhaps? You've obviously had great results against the likes of City and Everton.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very difficult one to take. I think if you asked every single player involved on Sunday, they would tell you, that it wasn't an acceptable performance. And for me, I just think as a squad, it was just one of them days. I don't think there's an excuse. I don't think there's a reason. I just think it was one of them days. We've analysed the game, we've reviewed it, and we now learn from it, and we go forward into the next game, knowing kind of our mistakes and what we need to correct.
You were mentioning Villa wasn't good enough, so I was saying West Ham needs to be better, doesn't it, Kirsty?
Yeah, and I was saying before it cut out, West Ham it's always a tough game, and we're always quite in similar positions in the league, and you know it always feels like a little rivalry match when we play West Ham. So we all know it's gonna be a very, very tough game.
Kirsty, you came through a talent program. You were with Chelsea for 7 years. You came through their academy, their talent program. Can you just give us your thoughts on girls' academies shutting down during this lockdown, where the boys have been able to continue? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's a very sensitive subject, isn't it? I mean, it is really not good enough, and I don't know why they think it's okay, and I don't know why they think that the boys are in any better position in terms of levels than the girls' academies. But unfortunately, it's one of those things where everyone has their opinions on it, and it's very upsetting for us women players that have come up through those, and how we know how it would have affected us back in the day. And a lot of those girls, they absolutely love to play football, and it's what they look forward to doing week in, week out, going in training. So yeah, I mean, I don't agree with that in any term, but unfortunately it is one of those things that it's completely out of our control.
And Hope was saying that a number of your academy players sometimes come through to train with the first team, that they occasionally get that opportunity to play for the first team if there have been injuries. Have you been able to speak to any of those academy players during this lockdown and perhaps give them some words of encouragement, or what opinions have they shared with you?
No, before the lockdown happened, one of the girls was in, and this was probably the first I heard about it. She was like, "Yeah, well, we're not going to be training now," and I was like, well, "What do you mean you're not going to be training?" I just assumed it was the same as us; they would just continue. And she was like, "No, we're going to be getting basically shut down as well." And I couldn't believe it. I think I was very shocked that was actually going to happen. But no, I actually haven't. I haven't really touched base with anyone. We've got a couple of the youngsters in with us at the moment, who are now in our bubble, so they stay with us, and so it's nice to have them in. And I think it's probably nice for them as well to be in with us and not have to be away training on their own, because that's also the tough thing as well. Like for the academy girls is, they're now all of a sudden probably doing one-on-one training on their own, and it is very hard. Like we had that before our season got cancelled. We were all at home, we were doing Zoom calls, we were doing individual training down the park, and it is very hard. And it's hard, the more time that goes on, it's very hard to keep yourself motivated. So I guess it's very tough for them at the moment.
And how do you feel about your club, that they are really pushing to get this changed, really pushing to get that academy reopened, that the club is saying we've got everything in place that we need to reopen it? How do you feel that the Albion are really at the forefront of pushing to change this?
It's really good to hear, and like you say, it's not a lie. They've got everything they possibly need to keep the girls safe. They've got, well, where they train, the training ground, it's completely COVID safe. There's so many procedures in place, and of course, like people like Brighton as well, they wouldn't say these procedures are in place if it wasn't safe to do so, and they have the girls' best interests at heart as well. So it is just a shame, and I do really hope that more teams do push for it, and that it does change.
Looking ahead to the West Ham match this weekend, how's morale after that loss last weekend? It was a tough loss, wasn't it? You were without your head coach, without your assistant head coach. I mean, how do you pick yourself up and move into this weekend?
To be honest, instantly after the game, straight away, we all pulled together as a group. We had a discussion. Many people voiced their opinions and about the game, and we all agreed, and we all knew it wasn't good enough. And we all even came to an agreement that it was not an excuse that the staff wasn't there. It wasn't an excuse of the week we had, because we were all well prepped. We all knew what we were doing. We all knew the game plan, and we'd all physically had enough strain through the week because we got sent things to do. So we knew that wasn't an excuse. So looking ahead into the West Ham game, we've all reviewed it together. And I wouldn't say we've swept it under the carpet, because we haven't. We've learnt from what happened and what went wrong in the Aston Villa game. And now it's about just, getting back to, all 11 players, and even, players in the stands, just being back together and focusing on getting our way back, that, like we did when we had played the Evertons and the Man Cities. And we know we can do it. It's not like we've forgotten overnight. So it's just about, pulling together now and bringing back out that sort of performance.
I just want to ask you a little bit more about the academies and the situation around there. Obviously, the fact that the girls' academies have stopped playing now kind of highlights that gap between how boys and girls football works, and maybe some of the inequalities that still exist. But until this lockdown, did you feel maybe that gap had closed somewhat, given the standard that's on offer at Brighton, and maybe what you experienced when you came up through at Chelsea?
Yeah, of course. Like we always say, even from the fact that there's now professional women's teams, I thought that gap had closed massively, like you just say. And I think obviously we know the whole men and women's pay scale is so different, and we have like people saying it shouldn't be different, but we know that will never be the case. But like you say, this is a massive shock, really, that this has happened and that they have shut the girls' academies. And like I say, I am very shocked they have done it. There is no difference in the boys' academies to the girls' academies. And I do think it is quite poor that they have done it, really.
How important is the academy system to the strength of the first team?
Yeah, really important. Like I'm sure Hope said as well, you know, we've had numerous players in over the last couple of seasons from, you know, from the academies and from the development squad and right the way through, you know, players have fed through. That the first team is, you know, that's where the players feed through from. And it's so key. It is a really, really important factor to the first team as well.
And you know, earlier you were talking about the West Ham game. Obviously, there's very little to separate you in the table. As you say, they're always very close games. Where do you think this game is going to be won and lost?
Honestly, I just think, obviously, learning off the back of our last game, and if we play and we have the same mentality, which I know we will against the City and Everton and games like that, or even the West Ham game when we played them in the Cup a couple of weeks ago. I think if we have that mentality, that's going to be massive in terms of the result. I think first and foremost, we need to go out from minute one with a positive mentality, and we can't afford to go out there and be reactive like we was at the weekend. You know, I think, to be quite honest, we went 1-0 down, and then that's when we decided to react. And unfortunately, in this league, that's too late. That's too late. You know, we need to go out from minute one with a positive mentality and an energy that we're going to win the game straight away instead of, you know, waiting for something to react to.